actually beat me in intramurals.
That fear of like, dang, I don't even want this to get out.
I don't know if she really accepts me for me.
I can use what I know and turn it to manipulation.
If we get right, everything else would get right.
First thought, take him to jail. But you don't know why he's stealing.
No. Do you know where you are?
We can go mental health.
Welcome to Discipline Lifestyles. I am your host, Matthew Hinton, and today I have a very special guest. The first time I had him, I had technical difficulties on my part. And so I had to bring him back, had to make sure we had the right questions, the right information. I had to be more prepared this time. And so today I have a friend. He actually beat me in intramurals my first year at ORU. We also played in, we were we was a walk on ORU together. And yeah, man, I've known him for like a couple years now. And so, like, today we're going to have a very good conversation on a topic that I've been interested in. And so, he's going to help us both expand our knowledge on this. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for Jaylon Calhoun. You see,
I didn't say Jaylon.
Yeah, you good. You
I
good.
say Jaylon.
You good.
How you doing?
Jalen, JJC, don't matter. Don't matter. But I'm doing good though. I'm doing good.
Good.
and so today I just want to start off by talking about. So you majored in psychology
For my undergrad, yes.
for your undergrad. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about like what inspired you to major in that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I've always been a curious person, and I think it was my 10th or 11th grade year of high school. I took an elective course, and we watched the crash course video over psychology, and I was like, man, I want to know how, like, why do people do what they do, and knowing like the motives behind that, and just because I mean, like, we're all driven by things, but we do them for different reasons, and so that was always interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so getting into college, and I guess you probably started to figure out like what specific area, because even when I look up like therapists to go to, they have like specific areas who they want as their clients and stuff. So talk to us. What is your goal in order? Are you trying to be a therapist first? And what is your goal in trying to accomplish, like getting undergrad, and then right now you're doing the master's? And can you tell us a little bit about your master's program and stuff?
So my goal, I'm about to have my master's degree in about probably probably like 8 months.
Oh, yes,
I'll have
sir.
that. And then like to become a licensed professional, I have to do more hours, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So as far as therapist, I mean, I know I want to someday, but I don't know if I want to pursue that right away just because of what I do outside of that. It's still in that field, but what I do outside of that. But like right now, I see people from age 4 to however old,
Yeah.
But my concentration is addictions and like substance abuse.
Okay.
But I'm still interested in like the mental health aspects and like anxiety, depression, and certain things. So I don't think like, cause I'm 24,
Yeah.
so I'm not limiting myself to just one area. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to dip my foot in different areas just to see, okay, how do I like this? How do I like that?
Yeah.
So like, what is a like licensed professional? I guess what is the difference between the two?
Okay, so I mean, think of it like let's do it like NBA and semi-pro. You know what I mean? And so you graduate. I got my master's degree, and then I would be a LPCC, which is a licensed professional counselor candidate, and I got to do those hours to become a professional without just the licensed professional. So I'd be under supervision for however long it takes me to get those hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And so like, what would you have to do to become like, I guess, a therapist? So you just have to get the hours down, or?
So you got a master's degree. When you get your master's, you take, it depends on what type of therapist. Like if you're a marriage and family, it's a different test you take, but you take 1 to 3 different tests, like I said, depending on your area of expertise. You pass the test, get your hours, then you become a therapist. But with that, you still have to do continual education each year because, I mean, we're humans. We evolve, we change, and so you got to stay up to date with topics and different stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And so I feel like you became like in the mental health space at like the perfect time because everybody talks about like mental health and like how important it is. So how do you feel about like our current state in like the Western culture with mental health and about the importance of it and like how to I guess from like the previous generations like they were like do whatever, do like your work. You don't need to be focused on your mental health. But nowadays, it's like, no, also you need to, like, even companies have mental health days.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, can you talk to us a little bit about, like, how do you feel like the transition has been, I guess, for our culture?
So first, I'll just go to like black culture.
Yeah.
So with black people or African Americans, it's not normal to see a therapist, see a counselor because it's like your business is like mind your business. It stays within the family, within the household, and even then, like issues don't get talked about. You know what I mean? And so it's not normalized to see a counselor or therapist. I just started seeing one because it was required. I recommend everybody see one just because it's like whether you have friends or a family member, somebody you need that outlet to be able to express and talk about things that you just don't talk about on a daily basis. But in our culture, it's like, well, the Western, it's weird to say where it's going, but just because, like, it's like so much. Like, you got, like, we talk about COVID, screen time, and how that contributing to a lot of ADHD and anxiety in kids. Like, you really see it because, like, during then, it's like you couldn't go play outside. It's like, here's the iPad, here's whatever. And now, like, when we do psychological evaluations, you see, like, this kid can't sit still for more than 3 minutes. It's like mind is everywhere, you know. So you see that a lot, but it is becoming normalized to see a therapist, but it's because more problems are arising.
Yeah.
So I really don't know where it's going, but I know like business is going to be booming for the next couple and so years because we still don't know how COVID has affected these children like when they grow up. We don't know that yet. So
Makes sense. So also, what do you think, like, because you talked a little bit about, and so I want to get like more of your perspective. Like, what do you think stops people from getting the help that they need?
well, you can't fix a problem if you don't realize you have a problem, you know? So it's like, it's a matter of self-awareness. Like, you live your life going a certain way. Okay, you lived your life this way for 20 years. You're still alive, it's working for you, you're functioning. Yeah. Until you realize, oh, that's a trauma, that's an issue, that's an attachment issue, or whatever, you're not going to get help for it, you know, because it's like, it's normal, I lived with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like it's a matter of that and then just the people around them and just how they grow up because it's like, a lot of people have trust issues and it's like, why am I telling this stranger therapist about stuff? They don't know me, they don't, you know, but it's not, I feel like it's deeper than that, you know.
It's deeper like in terms of deeper issues or deeper in terms of like there's like people in culture like they're basically like pressing you. So like, okay, if I have a group of friends, black friends, and I feel like, man, I'm having like a bad day, I'm going through it and stuff, and they will be like, uh, don't worry about it, and like they'll try to probably like distract me. And so like with even going towards what you talking about with like drug abuse and like substance abuse and stuff. And so like, do you mean like internal or do you mean like external pressures from other people that like probably are getting to them to stop them from it, or is it a combination?
It's a combination. So I'm gonna like kind of like paint a picture about something that, you know, we've been like working with children. So okay, so children, they know more than we like give them credit for. They may not know how to express, like say verbally how they feel, what they, you know, but they'll show you how they feel. You know, they'll act it out, whatever. And so when we work with children, it's a lot of play therapy, and it's simple stuff like, hey, what 3 emotions did you feel this week? And it's helping them become self-aware and identify, I feel this way, and this way. And it doesn't seem that deep, but if you can identify how you feel, what you did after that, later on, it helps you helps you cope and deal with whatever issues that may arise. Because a lot of substance abuse, like trauma, like a lot of I guess bad relationships, you want to say, it's a matter of coping issues. Like, how do you cope? Do you go talk to somebody? Do you express your feelings to someone, or do you turn to substances or whatever? So it's just stuff like that, just increasing self-awareness. I think that's a big part of it, and a lot of people aren't self-aware. Like, they think they are, but they're not.
Okay, so what are ways for us to become, I guess, more self-aware? Is it just with therapy? Can I do it? Is it internal work, or can I? What helps me become more self-aware?
I mean, it's a number of things, but for me, in my course, it's a thing called contemplative prayer. You don't have to be religious, spiritual, whatever, but it's basically, so, like our professor would be like, okay, close your eyes, and then relax, get in a comfortable position, and we'll sit there for like 10 minutes, but throughout that, he'll say, all right, every 3 to 4 seconds, flex a different part of your body, feel that, go to the next part, feel that, but it was like, don't focus your mind on anything. And it doesn't seem that, like, I used to be like, what are we doing? But like, exercises like that has helped me become self-aware. Like, I'm so in tune with my body and everything. And it is a lot of like self-work. Like, the best thing I can say is just keep on living, because all the answers are here. You know, like therapists, we don't give you, all we do is provide a new perspective. You know, we don't give you anything that you don't already have, you know?
Yeah. So is it like, would you give us tools though? Like, okay, if it's like, I'm going through this, you'd be like, okay, so this is, in this situation, these are the tools that you need, probably like journal, or like these type of questions you need to answer during this time period, or just like write down your thoughts, or like what you just went through with like the touching, like feeling your like not your emotions, but like your sensations and stuff. So are you giving us tools, or like what are we, or are you just making us become, I guess, more self-aware then?
So I would say we're giving you like tools, coping skills, but it depends on the therapist and the type of therapy. But it's like, okay, if I say, I'll give you homework, I say, all right, so it's the end of the session, I want you to read this chapter, come back next week, and we'll reflect on it. Maybe something like that. Journaling, different coping skills. But when I meant like we don't give you anything, like we're not a life coach. So we're not saying like, hey, you need to cut off all your friends, put your head down, lock in. Like we don't do that. We give you like autonomy. Like we say like, if you say you want to do that, we're going to help you explore why do you want to do that? Like, do you really want to do that? Because at the end of the day, let's say we give you advice, it works. You want more advice. Yeah. Next time we give it to you, it doesn't work. Now you're mad at us, you know? Yeah. So we let you make the decision for yourself. But when it comes to like self-harm, stuff like that, then it's like we step in a different role. But other than that, it's on you.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back to like with the trauma you was talking about. So like, why do you feel, I guess, it's important for us to heal from trauma? Because again, it goes back to self-awareness of like, I didn't know I had trauma. And like, I like look at podcasts like with Tim Ross, like he had environmental trauma. And so like with that, he didn't even know he had environmental trauma. And then that led to him, I mean, I'm telling his story, but like him having like a gun on him in Sprouts. And so like, why is it important, I guess, for us to heal from our past trauma? And I feel like for me, it's probably important, especially like I've been seeing it from me in my relationships. I don't know I don't know if it's considered trauma because like I haven't had any like traumatic experiences in my
Yeah.
life, but like I know I've had experiences in my life and like I've brought those in relationships and it made my relationships unhealthy in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
And so I just want to know your perspective on like why we shouldn't like
Yeah.
heal from
So I'm like broadening it, so not even just trauma in general, but like just negative behavioral patterns, you know. And so like it's like this. We're all products of our environment. You know what I mean? And so until we step out of that, we don't know what our environment is like. Like when I was younger, I grew up in the hood. I didn't know it was the hood because everybody around me was like me. But as I got older, we moved away from that. I was able to look, like the hindsight, I was able to look back and be like, man, I was in the hood, you know? So same thing with those negative behaviors and trauma. Like if you're like if you're in that, you're experiencing it, you may become to think it's normal. Like let's say you have parents and you watch them fight and argue all the time. Your idea or perception of marriage or love is altered. And it can carry on into your future relationships, you know? Because you know what you know. You don't know another way. So that's probably why you run into issues or you find it hard to like, okay, how do I treat or love my girlfriend or wife the way it's supposed to be? You know, that's why I said like the self-awareness and then just learning, like, you know, continuous learning, because you don't know what you don't know.
yeah.
You know?
And so going with the self-awareness, is there a difference between self-awareness and self-acceptance? Like, does that come along with self-awareness, self-acceptance? Or is that a whole different process of after, okay, I've become self-aware, now I need to accept who I am?
I, I can't speak for everybody. I know for myself. So I know me, I have attachment issues. I'm aware of that. And so because, like, I feel like it's because of the nature of the work I do, I'm aware of that. And because of that, I'm very mindful of how I am in my interactions with people or with women, because it's like, okay, like I know that you, like self-awareness, you notice patterns or you notice certain things happen, like, oh, I can't do that, or like it's getting to that point. You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like I don't have a choice but not to accept it, you know. But now that I'm aware, I can change that. I don't have to be victim to those attachment issues or whatever, you know. Now I can work to fix that.
Okay. Yeah. So like even in my journey becoming more self-aware, I've seen I had to grow. Like last year, I became more self-aware. And it was just me having to spend time with myself, learning my patterns. And like I'd never seen a therapist until like this year. I think it was after our interview. Actually, that was like probably like the first time I've seen a therapist. And before then, I was like just going through like, okay, I notice in this situation with me, like I get certain point to a girl. So I guess mine is kind of an attachment issue too. So like I'll get a certain point with a girl and I'm like, I don't know if I could go any further. And then growing and realizing that and becoming more self-aware of like things that from my past of like I needed to feel accepted and um, feel like I didn't feel wanted in certain areas of my life from people. And because of that, that trickled into I don't feel like if I got past this point with the girl, I don't know if she really accepts me for me or she wants me for me. So I have to cut it off before I can get hurt. And so with self-awareness, I definitely believe like it's helped me grow a lot in my relationships and like how you said, being mindful with how to interact with people, not even just with my relationships, but like just everyday people, like making people feel seen, feel heard, feel wanted, feel loved. And so like I try to go out my way to like, hey, what is your name? Like, how you feeling today? Like, how are you doing today and stuff. And so like, I feel like that's helped me in my life. So like, can you talk a little bit about like how the therapy? I know you have a little bit, but like how it's helped you like with your in your mental health, how it's helped you in your everyday life, and how it's impacted others. Not even necessarily even just like you being like the being a licensed professional in general, but like just in your everyday life.
Yeah. Well, so with my internship right now, it was required that we go to therapy once a month. So I only been one time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess like I guess the work I do in general, like different books, different stuff like that, like talking about boundaries and love languages and stuff. Like I feel like all that has helped me just understand people better and understanding like myself, like with boundaries, like everything is a boundary. It even talks about how there's boundaries in the Bible. You know, like everything is a boundary.
Yeah.
And like when something happens and it rubs you a certain way, that boundary was crossed. But you won't know that unless you know your boundaries, you know?
Wow.
And so like a lot of just the whole nature of this work in general, like it's definitely changed my life and it's continuously changing. You know, just helping me like be empathetic for people and understanding and seeing outside of my lens, you know, because even though I will only ever have my own lived experiences, working with other cultures and people, you see like the way that I would solve a problem from my perspective, it won't work over there because that's not how they function in that culture or within that, you know, area.
Yeah. And so I guess so for like every for a person in general, how could they become a safe space for somebody? So like for your friend, like people have friends and stuff. How can they become like a safe space for someone to go to whenever they are like in trouble or like if they wanted to vent? How can I become like the safe space
Yeah.
to accept them and they feel like they can come to me?
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you, like in our curriculum for therapy, it talks about like you won't share anything with me if the relationship isn't there. You know, I mean, you have some people that's willing to just do it because that's their personality, but it's not normal to do that. So to build that relationship is rapport, which is what we're doing now, vulnerability, genuineness, being non-judgmental, and then just creating an environment that doesn't make them feel judged or shameful for what they did, you know, or what they've been through, you know, because like with one of my friends, I've known him since 5th grade. We'll be like, we're gonna talk on the phone for 5 minutes. It's 3 hours, and it's like we, because of the nature of our relationship, we able to do that, you know. Yeah. But I feel like it's just understanding that we're not perfect. Like this is all our first time at this age, living this life. Yeah. You know, we're gonna make mistakes. Like even when it comes to sin, this person may sin this way, you may sin that way. So it's like we have no room to judge people. And so I think it's just a matter of that, and then just accepting people for who they are. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of people, let's say you tell me something right now, and I go and tell somebody else. Then it gets back to you. Now you're not gonna want to share nothing with nobody because it's like that fear of like, dang, I don't even want this to get out. Like I'd rather just take this to the grave. So
yeah. And so going with what you just said, even talking about sin and stuff, I remember that just popped up a verse in my head. Galatians 6:1 talks about brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently, but watch yourselves or you also may be tempted. And so it talks about carrying each other's burdens, and in this way you fulfill the law of Christ. And then it says, if anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. And so when it talks about that in Galatians, and then it goes to what you talk about, it goes back to being self-aware.
yeah,
And so like learning and knowing, hey, even though I might think I might not do that in that situation, but if the situation had like a little bit of change and like connected to like something that triggers you, you might react in that same way in that situation. So I feel like self-awareness definitely and I talk about this. I've talked about this in like a video. The difference between like self awareness and self-conscious. Self awareness helps you be able to be aware of other people and other things around you. Self consciousness is self centered, and like you, like I think of it like I'm like caged in and clothed in, and like I'm so worried about myself and so worried about like people like seeing me and stuff. But self awareness is I'm able to be aware of my surroundings, and so like how you was talking about like what like we need to be careful, especially like how to judge. So like, can you give us like language on like the difference between an example in terms of being judgmental and non-judgmental and like hearing somebody out in like a situation?
So I'm gonna put it like this. So on the outside looking in, like you don't know why a person did what they did. Like for instance, like if you go to a neighborhood, someone that's in poverty, a 15-year-old boy, they steal from the grocery store. First thought, take him to jail. But you don't know why he's stealing. It's out of survival. His mom could be on drugs. He's trying to feed his little brothers and sisters. He's not a bad person. We're only looking at the action. We're not looking at the circumstances that caused the action. That's why I say like don't judge people because you don't know what brought them to that point. You know, but even I still fall victim to that. Like somebody cut me off in traffic, I get mad. But it's like they could be rushing to the hospital. Somebody could be in labor. Like you really don't know. That's what I'm saying. You got to give people grace and just be non-judgmental because it's like you don't know what they're going through, just like they don't know what you're going through. Because we're all at the center of our own universe. You know.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good. So I wanted to. Okay, so like with this podcast, like with this channel, I wanted to focus on the men in our society because not saying like no woman can watch this YouTube channel or anything like that, but I wanted to focus on the men because I feel like men are kind of like the backbone of society. And if we get right, everything else would get right. And so, can you talk to us about men in with mental health in terms of like why should they do it? I know you kind of talked about it earlier, especially when you talk about it with the black culture, but I want to talk to specifically men and why should they look into just having someone to talk to, not even a therapist, but just having someone to talk to and being able to be vulnerable with somebody. And how and is it a freeing thing? I know it's scary because like we as humans look for things to not we look for things that are adverse to pain. I think I used the right word. That is not basically that we're trying to get away from pain. And being vulnerable is literally, hey, I can get hurt. So can you talk to us a little bit about that for men and why should men, from your perspective, look into just being vulnerable with somebody? And also because everybody's not trustworthy. So like being able to be, I guess, have wisdom with it.
So I mean, I feel like it's a lot of like generational stuff, but I mean, for today, I guess our generation going forward, like men is like it kind of goes back to what I talked to about with children. What their emotions did you feel, you know? And for a lot of people, it's like men in general, boys, that's not common. So they've never had an outlet to express those emotions, and so it's like I said, it's not normal for them to do that. So they go through life bottling it up. They may not even realize it, but it's like I gotta have tough skin, or I can't cry because I gotta be strong. I gotta be the foundation. You know, everybody's looking at me. Like it's a lot of pressure, you know. And so I feel like men should be able to express themselves and like because it's society has put this idea out that women are emotional and men are the tough ones. You know, different.
Stoic.
Yeah, you know, and it's like it's okay to be. We're human. we're human. We all experience the same emotions. Like nobody is like subject from that. You know what I mean? So I just feel like men, like they need that outlet because it's like, and it goes back to like you don't know until you have it. So if you went your whole life without having that outlet, it's like you have no push or reason to express yourself like that.
And so also like even with that, they don't even know like why I react this way. After every situation, you react the same way, and then you don't know why you do that. And if you don't know why you do that, or that you do that, it's like you don't you don't know there is a change. You can have a difference. That's like even like with like Christianity, like with people, they don't know like if you like don't know God or anything, you don't know any other way or know that oh, there is someone that Jesus that died for me or something. They don't know that, and so it's like if you go along life in dysfunction or and not know you're in dysfunction, then you wouldn't know there's another way. And so I feel like a lot of things for me, I think it comes from self-awareness. And like even I said this before, like in the garden when God asked Adam, where are you? He didn't ask for a geological location. Like he knew where he was in the world. He asked him for his heart, for his mental, like, where are you? It wasn't him, "Oh, I can't find you." No. Do you know where you are? Your specific area. Why did you choose going back to you choosing the area that you're in, substance abuse and trauma? Why did you go to that specific area? Is it, I mean, unless if that's too personal question, then we won't do it. But like, why did you choose substance abuse and trauma? Was it like something specific that you've seen before and you wanted to help out, or like what drove you to that area at least to start out your career?
So I know like okay within like because I've smoked weed before, and I used to do it a lot, but I was always functional, like all like straight A's. Like I probably had the best grades of my life during that time period. But for everybody else, it doesn't work out that way, and then they go down another path and keep going, especially within our community as Black people. It's like they say, oh, it's a phase. Where they smoke, where they drink, do all this, whatever. And for some people it is, but because we're wired, everybody's wired differently, different, like environmental issues, like trauma in the family, the way they was raised, different genetics, certain genes. And so it may be a phase right now. Some people may go out of that, but this person keeps going to that, and they like, oh, this feels good. Then it's like, oh, I need something stronger to cope with whatever. And so I've seen how it's affected like I guess my community. Like I've seen firsthand people could have been like 5-star athletes do it, get into the wrong crowd, and like coming to school off all types of stuff. And it's crazy. And then also I don't think this is a reason, but like I guess it's a matter of like subconsciously. But I had an auntie. She was coping with some issues. She overdosed on heroin. And so I never attributed, like, connected and was like, oh, this is why I'm going to do that. But, I mean, it could be another. A part of it. Yeah, it could be.
Okay. And so even with that, because you was talking about getting in the wrong crowd, how important is it to have the right community around you, especially during this time period of if somebody wanted to start, okay, I want to get help. How important is it to have the right community around you in order to support you with their support system? Yeah, like with your support system in order to get the help that you're trying to do.
Are you asking me about like in adolescence, like in how they choose different crowds? Like, what do you mean?
I'm talking about like if a person, just in general, okay, I'm trying to get help in this area. How important is it for me to have the right people around me to support me in me trying to get this help?
Yeah.
Or does it matter? Or um, is it just I need it internally and block out
Yeah.
everybody?
As far as it mattering, I feel like that's like a person dependent type thing. It just depends on the person. But like as far as how they go about it, I mean, I would go with somebody that's credible and somebody you trust, and because it's like if I go to a random dude off the street, it's like the blind leading the blind. Like, how you gonna lead me? You don't even know where you going. So I would make sure this person knows where they're going. It's like with a mentor. I'm not saying get a mentor, but with a mentor, you usually choose somebody that you would want to model your life principles or whatever after. Somebody that's credible, somebody you trust or look up to.
Yeah. Okay. And then also, because you also said like you deal with the in therapist, like you deal with adolescents and stuff. And so talk to us a little bit about like how, because you said like we children are actually like smarter than what we give them credit for. Because I wouldn't have assumed that like, I mean, I know like kids like they know like something's going on in their surroundings, but like them don't going to therapy like at a young adolescent age, I would be like they understand what's they're doing, or like they can like you not necessarily express fully like what I'm trying to say now, but like they can like express a little bit about what they're going through. And so I guess talk to us a little bit about how their work is, and like how important it is, I guess, at an early age to get help as early as you could.
Yeah. So you don't have to have a problem or issue wrong with you to go to therapy. Like, same way you have a doctor checkup. You may not be sick, but you go get a checkup, see. So it's something like that. But like, okay, so with children, like you said, they can't express, like they can't have this conversation, And so it's just like we do a lot of times it's starting out as play therapy because you want to build trust, rapport. And there's been times where we play Uno, where we play different like building stuff. And then the way the brain works is like, if you're focused on something else, your guard is let down subconsciously. Wow. And so you're able to talk about certain things, like that's why like when you're busy, you forget certain stuff or like, oh, I did that. So it's something like that. And so it'll be like, okay, what 3 emotions did you feel this week? And then let's say I was angry. And sometimes I may not know the emotion, so we have like an emotion chart with the different faces on there. And so that's that one. Like, and then, oh, why did you feel that way? Then they'd be like, so and so didn't play with me at recess. And then like, wow. And then it's just the why. So like, why do you think they didn't play with you? Or like, what did you do after that? And so like that self-awareness, so that they can see, I felt this way, this happened, that happened. Wow. So it's never like, I mean, right now I'm not working with kids that have like trauma or nothing like that, but I'm saying like it's most times the kids I'm with, it's like just therapy, conversation, somebody to talk to, like a safe space, because yes, they love their parents, but at 5, 6 years old, the parent's busy. I doubt that they're just having these type of conversations and,
That makes sense, especially if they're going to therapy. Their parents probably make some type of money.
Yeah.
Unless like they were underprivileged and then they'd be like, we give you this therapy for free. But like more than likely their parents are making some type of money if they're doing that. But you said something and it starts to like makes me think, because you said while a person is busy and they talk, and some of like their guard can be like let down a little bit. And that makes me think why men have like shoulder to shoulder conversations is what like I think somebody said, and like women can have face to face, because men, they'll talk, but like they have to be doing something.
Yeah, like playing golf
playing basketball, or like they gotta be doing something. It's not, we don't just have, oh, let's go get a coffee and talk. Like there's not really a lot of that. And so that makes me think like, man, like uh us as men, like if you're trying to, I guess, uh have a dialogue, or like if you see somebody that needs a dialogue, you'd be like, how to go about it in a way, um, of having somebody, if you, to let like their guard down or something like that. But I also don't like. I'm also careful with it because I wouldn't want to be like manipulative about it because that can be manipulative.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Exactly.
It's it,
Because
I
when
can
I
get
was
into that
thinking about it,
too.
I was like,
I can
man,
get into that too. It is.
it's like, do you think people like some people like know that and like actually use that to be manipulative?
Yeah, like if I was okay, so like if I had a certain personality disorder, or even if I was just wired differently, or even now,
Yeah.
I can use what I know and turn it to manipulation. Because I feel like I can talk to anybody, and I can, because like I said, I work with a different range of people. I see different people, different presentations, different like ways they communicate, and I'm having to change the way I communicate, present myself. Like so, I can code switch, you know, and then it can turn into manipulation depending on how you use it. You know what I mean? Because it's like I know how to put on different hats and wear them. So it's like once I know what you want me to be, I can be that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I said it's a fine line. And that self awareness that helped me realize I was like, oh, like it's scary because it's like you there because it's especially when you take it out of the therapy room itself, just conversations with people, like it's crazy. Like I can talk to somebody and I can get them to talk about like let's say I'm talking to a friend, I could be like, hey, I can get them to talk about dogs and go up to somebody and lead the conversation there. And that's what I mean. Like it can turn into like just knowing what to say and how to say it. So it's a fine line.
That's wild. And so it's like even I think people do it subconsciously.
Oh yeah.
Like with even like with men and women.
No, people do it consciously too, but they don't. No, they know.
But they don't.
No,
I feel like yeah.
They
I
know.
feel like well in this context of like us having like the conversation of I can put on a different hat and just show you and like because I know I definitely did that like definitely like yeah, I want to go sleep with this woman. I'm gonna be the woman that she wants me to be for that time period, so I can do what I need to do and get out.
Yeah.
I I never known like that is a thing, and then like you actually saying it, like it actually brought light to like what the manipulation is, and so like that goes back to like knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And so being able to have the knowledge but yet use what you have to do right instead of doing like being manipulative because it's actually easy to be manipulative, especially when you're knowledgeable. And so man, like that's wild.
Yeah, because it's like how I said, the self-awareness. And I said a lot of people aren't self-aware. And so because like how I said, I talk to different people. Let's say I go out, I see somebody, I talk to them. Like this experience, I can relate it to a previous person I talked to, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I need to act like this or I need to act like that. That's why I tell people like, hey, like this is what I do. Because it's like I try to give them me right then and there, like, because I'm not who people think I am. You know what I mean? Like when you perceive me, like you wouldn't think I do what I do, which is why I feel like it would be easier to be manipulative because it's like you wouldn't expect me to know what I know. You know?
That makes sense. Wow. Nah, that's I like with this podcast today, I knew I wasn't gonna really be having like I would try to have a conversation, but like it's gonna be more so me having questions because like I'm not really privy to all this knowledge about mental health and all that. But I did have questions about like what it was and like how to help people. So like even in the situation with like you wanting to you wanting somebody to get help and you see the dysfunction because you've been working on you've been working on yourself to become more self-aware, to become a healthier person, and you're seeing somebody that isn't doing that, but you want them to do that so bad. How can we navigate those relationships of like, okay, I'm doing the work, but I see my homeboy. He is literally, if he just did like talk to people and do what he needs to do, he can literally be a better person. Like, how do I be able to navigate that relationship and not be like, do what I did, like be more like getting into that judgment.
Yeah, so it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, but it's also with that, it's a matter of patience and grace because it's like we all on, like we run in our own race, different times, different paths, and so it's not like we're not going to get better or get clean, whatever you want to call it, at the same time. You know? So it's a matter of understanding that, but then it's also like it's up to the person itself. Like, how much patience do you have? How much time are you willing to wait? Because especially if this person is holding you back, then it may be time for you to, yeah, you know? And it's like, even then, you don't have to be judgmental about it, but it's like I still care about you. I still this, I still that, but I can't want it more than you, you know? Because they actually told me, my supervisor, my professor, because like, I had a client, I seen myself within this client, and I was like, man, like, if he just did this, if he just did that, and it was really like I was trying hard. It was like, as a therapist, you're never supposed to work harder than the client. It's not your job to, because those aren't your issues. Yeah. They're not. At the end of the day, I know it sometimes it may be harder when you're dealing with more serious stuff, but it's like you're only responsible for your life. You know, you can want to help them, but you can't work harder than them for that.
Wow, that's crazy. That makes total sense because even in the question with that, like that applies in life in general. Like, and it like applies to like even with like disciplined lifestyles, like the Christian walk. Like, even though I'm on my path in which God convicted me for, and I had to go back and apologize to some of my friends, especially like I started out on this journey. I want to be closer to God, and also he's been showing me, and I'm like, I didn't know I was this bad. Scary, right? Yeah, it's scary. Yeah. I was like, I didn't know I was like this bad, and then it says, yeah, you actually do you remember this situation? And like, wait, I did that, and like I had to, even though like I was on my journey, and then God's been patient with me on my journey to draw closer to Him. And even though if my friends don't want it right then, I have to show patience, I have to show grace because God showed me that same grace. And so it like even with like forgiving other people, and we could really get into that topic a little bit of like being able to forgive other people and like forgive like hurts and like past hurts, past pains of like maybe like uh father figure wasn't there or like friend betrayed you. And so and it goes back to like even it's hard and like I bring it back to biblical of like Christ showed us how to forgive people even while they were killing them. And so he says it on the cross, like, Father, forgive them for they do not know what they do. And he shows us my example of, okay, if he can forgive people while they were literally killing him, I can forgive others no matter how hard or how much I feel like they betrayed me. And so I guess talk a little bit about like, I guess even if it's in your life, an example or show something like how to, I guess, become more mature and being able to forgive people for their like past wrongs and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I'm at a place in my life where I've forgiven, to my knowledge, I've forgiven everybody. Like, and I mean, like I feel like it's just, because I can't say everybody's gonna have it the same way. Like, it's just a matter of getting older and realizing, like, it don't really matter. It don't really matter. And then like holding on to it, what are you gonna do with it? Like what are you gonna do with it? And I mean like that's why I said it's person dependent because it's some people have more serious issues when it comes to like abuse and other stuff like that. Like I've never had that, so I can't get my perspective on how to forgive when it comes to that. But when it comes to like being like backstabbed or betrayed, like it's like man, like that's how you move. Like I know that now, and it's like okay, now I know for next time. You know what I mean? But it's not like a man. I'm gonna get them back, or I'm not gonna forget about it. But it's like it's not holding me hostage into how I move. Yeah, you know. But it's like I'm aware of that, and it's like I know what that looks like now going forward. You know.
And so, let's talk about it a little bit then. For how forgiveness looks, and so like, I can forgive somebody. Somebody stole, like, if a friend stole $100 from me, I can forgive them and still not trust them with my money in terms of like, hey, you hold this while I go do this. I can forgive. Can you talk a little bit about you can still forgive and like be like, okay, I'm gonna still be wise around you and not like do the things that I did once you broke trust. When you broke trust, I mean, I couldn't. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, like a situation like that, I would not. Yeah, they wouldn't be in a position to ever touch my money. You know what I mean? And like with me, it's like I'm going to distance myself. Like I'm not going to curse you out. And I mean, in the moment it may be different, but like you know, as far as when it comes to forgiveness, I'm going to distance myself just for in the future. You know, like oh, that's how you move. Like now. It's a boundary, like I talked about earlier, a boundary put up. Like, all right, I know not to let this person do this again. You know what I mean? So forgiveness looks different for everybody. Like I'm not going to say no names, but there's one person specifically, like in high school, me and this person had an issue because of another person. And for the longest, like, didn't speak, didn't look at each other, do nothing. But now, like, we cool. Like, you know what I mean? Because this is like, we was young. It don't matter. We both, you know, grown up. But that's me though, because I'm old enough to be able to do that. But I feel like it's because of what I do and what I study. You know, like we grown.
Yeah, I think it's like a level of maturity too. Like you have to mature to get to forgive. Like that's not something that you can be like, okay, especially again, like being back like that. It hurts. Like like I don't want to like negate like. Yeah, you shouldn't feel some like no, you should feel some type of way.
Yeah, like I tell everybody like the way you feel is valid. Even like something small, like let's say somebody don't text you back. Yeah. The way you feel is valid. Now it may not be rational, that you're like having an outburst or whatever, but it's valid. It's your feelings. Like I can't tell you how to feel, you know, because I don't know the root cause of why you're feeling that way. So it's okay to feel hurts, feel whatever. Like I feel like we gotta feel every emotion, you know. Sadly, but like that's what makes us human. That's what makes some emotions feel better than others.
Yeah. Actually, I just had that conversation on the last podcast that I put out with Jeremy, and he's talking about like to feel your emotion because emotions aren't bad. What we do with those emotions can turn out to be mad. Like I feel mad. That's not necessarily wrong with me feeling mad, but if that me being mad turns around to kill somebody, that what makes it wrong. And so even in the Bible, like it says, be angry and sin not. So like emotions that's what I want like us to get to. So like emotions aren't necessarily bad. It's just indicators. Yeah. And so I guess from the mental health perspective, because again, I didn't major in psychology. I'm just a person that majored in accounting. So, which is kind of crazy now saying it out loud. I'm a person majored in accounting. So, talk to us a little bit about, I guess, feeling emotions and like from your perspective, like I know you're probably not going to say emotions are bad, but can you explain it? Yeah. Since you majored in it, like you have more knowledge.
Yeah. So like it goes back to because you said something. I felt mad. I felt angry. I went to kill somebody. That goes back to what I said we would do with the children. Like I felt mad or sad because this happened, and then it's like recognizing those emotions, feeling those emotions, and looking at the behaviors that came after. You know, because if you don't know how to cope, like bro, so many people are ruled by our emotions. Like so many people like. I feel sad, depressed, lonely, so I'm gonna go hook up with my ex or I'm gonna go do whatever. So like emotions aren't bad. Like I think that's why we gotta be careful when we talk to kids, like and let them feel emotions. Like it's okay to cry. Like parents be like, "Stop crying, stop. Why you sad?" Like that's and it goes back. This can go everywhere. It goes to the men. Like why are you crying? When they get older, like I gotta be tough. I don't know why I gotta be tough, but them patterns. That's why like. A lot of it is like generational and it stems from the household, So like that, it can go all over the place when it comes to emotions.
That's crazy. And it goes back to the household. That's what it makes it like, that's what I go back to with what I'm saying. Like, there's like, Christians that was like that Christ isn't the foundation of their family, and I mean, and it shows. And then like we all are affected by it. Like children are affected by the parents' choices. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, there are like times where like of course like things happen and stuff, and then there's other times that like people are selfish. Okay, actually, let's go to it. Since I have you on the podcast, have you seen the Cam Newton clip with the I think Dr. Cheyenne or Cheyenne Bryant or whatever. I know her name is Cheyenne Bryant, but I don't know if she's a doctor or not. Did you see? Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Okay, basically, she was talking about how Cam Newton. She was on his podcast and said he is. I'm not going to say this is what she said word for word, but the gist of what she's saying is like he's a part of the society in terms of like in our community, black community, of perpetuating like broken homes. Because he has 3 women with 8 children.
Yeah.
And so I guess what is your what's it called on that?
Yeah, so it's weird because it's like I said, I wear so many different hats. So it's like the way I grew up, what I study, and the knowledge with that, and then a Christian standpoint. So I'm gonna just do with what I study, just because I know everybody like it's just different for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like this. 'Cause I know you heard about NBA YoungBoy, not Bow Wow, but Nick Cannon.
Yes.
Yeah. And so me personally, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I don't want to do that, even if I had the money to. But I mean, like, if he's a good parent to his kids, he's a good parent. Like if that works for them, that works for them. Like it's yes, there's a blueprint biblically of how families should be. There's a blueprint like historically of how families should be. Yeah. But times are changing, and all households aren't like that. Some people have like shared custody. Some people have step parents, whatever. Yeah. So I don't think there's a certain way that everybody has to live their life like. Like he has like freedom. He can do it. Free will. He can do what he wants. Now, it's a different story when it says like promoting like broken homes, when it's like, okay, he's just having kids and not being there. Yeah. But I can't really speak much to it because I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I don't know what type of parent he is. Like some people are able to be there for, all their children. You said how many kids?
Yeah, 8.
That's a lot. You know, like depending on the age gap, that's a lot. I don't know how you would do it, but that's not me. I'm not in his shoes, so I don't know what he's doing. You know,
But okay, so would you say that is sustainable for society?
oh no, like having if everybody had like
A similar situation.
nah, just because like I mean I won't know until it happens, but I don't think so. Like you got inflation, you got that's a lot of America already has a lot of people. That's a lot, bro. That's a lot of kids. Like one kid is already expensive. I can't imagine 8, and then it's not even with the same woman. It's there's a lot of needs to attend to as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like I said, I don't know how they parent, and I don't know if they all on the same page. I don't know their relationships. I don't know. For all we know, they could all live on the same street, have like 3 houses next to each other, 4 houses, whatever. Like that's but I mean I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say, if we are talking like, because my viewpoint on the world has to be through a Christian viewpoint because Christ is my Lord. I would say it'll be different if he had like a family and then like divorced and then it popped up like that. I think in terms of like what he said was like, I mean, if God blesses me with even more, then do it. I think that is harmful.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that like, again, you're still one man.
Yeah.
And I know you're busy. Like, I'm not saying you wouldn't have time with all those, but like, that's a lot. You have a podcast, and then you have your 4th and 1. It is a lot, and I'm not here to condemn them or be judgmental or anything. It is. I'm just saying it is a lot, and I wouldn't think for society, especially if we want our community to be better, it wouldn't be sustainable, and it wouldn't be a good example of what we should have.
Yeah.
Just that's what I would say. But I mean, Cam Newton, that's his life. He has money. He has the things that he wants for it. I mean, but that's just from what I view it as.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, see, I didn't know like it was laid out like that. I didn't know that, and like not at all. I wouldn't encourage anybody to do it. I wouldn't promote it. But it's like my viewpoint. Like that's why I said like you gotta know your values and know who you are, especially in this work, because it's like I know biblically that's not how it's supposed to go, but I also know everybody doesn't see the world that way. So what works this way, like I said, you got to give them free will. Because if I say, hey, the Bible says you should do this, you should do that, and it's like I did that. Now this happened. Now it's my fault. So that's why like I phrased it like that, because it's like he's his own man.
Yeah.
He gonna do what he want to do.
What he want to do. Yeah.
And it's like he said, God, like his perception of God. Everybody has their own perception of it. So like whether it's Christianity, whether it's whatever they believe in, higher power, whatever, everybody has their own perception and their own understanding of it.
And that's how they're gonna live their life.
Yeah. So
it's gonna be different for everybody.
that's why I was like, hey, like me personally, I wouldn't do this, but I understand there's different viewpoints and perspectives and reasons to why, Now, if he's telling everybody, hey, y'all should do this, y'all should do that, yeah, because I was like, everybody don't got the money, they don't got the time, like, to sustain that,
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, that makes sense.
that makes sense. So, I think we went over like an hour. Yeah, we went hour and 5. So, I'm gonna have his links in the description. His Instagram. I don't know if he wants Snapchat on there.
No,
but I'm gonna have your Instagram in there, and so y'all can find him on his Instagram. Eventually, he might have a website of his practice, and might have like a his own like
whole other
practice,
conversation.
So eventually that might be in there. So, But I appreciate you for coming on the podcast and talking with us. It definitely has opened my eyes, and I hope it helped you all during this process. And so appreciate you for coming. And then
Yes, sir.
until next time, guys, it's been your boy.
Peace.
That was good.